What's up, guys? I'm LQ. This is the LQ Review. Thank you so much for joining me here at my YouTube channel. This is where I talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that I love to talk about. Movies, video games, comic books, TV shows. And right now, I'd like to give you guys my review of the new Josh Duhamel movie, Buddy Games. The Transformers guy, right? He's the Transformers guy. Buddy Games. And, you know, on its surface, this is a movie. Let's look at my pretty face here. On its surface, this is a movie that I would like. You know, it's about a bunch of friends who don't get to see each other a whole lot, maybe even a little bit estranged, all coming back together to have their own personal Olympics, playing games that they would have played when they were in their 20s, right? This is something that I often think about. Like, what would it be like if me and all my friends were to get back together again and have relive some of the old days? And the reality is that we don't do it a whole lot because life just kind of happens, right? We're all married, we all have kids, and it's become very difficult to get everybody together at the same time. Sometimes I can hang out with one, sometimes I can hang out with the other, but getting everybody together at the same time is incredibly difficult. So this is something that I think about, and I'm like, this is such a cool idea. Why can't me and my friends pull this off? And you know what? I believe that Josh Duhamel and his co-stars in this, I believe they had a great time making this movie. I believe 110% that they had a wonderful time making this film. The only problem is it's not very good. They forgot about the audience. They had a great time making the movie, but we did not have a great time watching the movie. and and I feel like that's going to be true across the board, because the problem is that while I think that they had a good time staging these scenes and staging these games and even playing these games and talking about it and having a good time together, I just feel like none of it was very funny, and very little of it was actually entertaining. You know, Josh Duhamel, who directed this also and stars in it, I feel like he comes at this very earnestly. He wants this to be a fun kind of frat boy comedy in the vein of Old School. The problem is that Old School had a certain degree of sweetness to it. It had a certain degree of character. It felt, it was funny and it was ridiculous, but you also loved the characters and you empathized with the characters. And nobody in this movie you really empathize with a whole lot. They were all just kind of, for the most part, they were kind of just crappy man boys. Like, they were just kind of crappy man boys that you just didn't really care for a whole lot. And that includes Josh Duhamel's character. He really pulls some crappy moves at the end of the movie, where it just kind of makes you not like him very much. Olivia Munn co-stars as Josh Duhamel's love interest, and like, she has quickly climbed the ranks of geek movie, I guess it'd be geek movie goddess, right? Like, it used to be like Jovovich, right? She was the action star in all the geek movies. But now you look at Olivia Munn, you know, she's done like some X-Men stuff. She was in Predator. You know, she's quickly showing up in a lot of key properties. And probably my favorite role was actually in Office Christmas Party. But she definitely, in most of her roles, she definitely feels like a guy's chick, right? Like a girl that can hang out with guys and just be one of the guys. And not the role that she plays here, but she definitely also plays a love interest here that is competing for the affections of Josh Duhamel's character with his childhood friends. And like I said, some stuff that happens with this character and Josh Duhamel towards the end of the movie, I just thought it was all pretty crappy, and it just made me not really care for that whole relationship at all. Um, I liked her. I liked her character. I didn't really like Josh Duhamel's character. Um, you know, so fine in this though. She brings with it her normal charisma. Not the best actress in the world, but definitely has a lot of screen presence, brings a lot of charisma. She brought boatloads of that in this movie. They didn't over sexualize her like they have in some other roles that she's been in, and she was kind of that girl that hangs out with guys. Nick Swardson, he was. The funny thing is that while I would say this is a movie that's led by Josh Duhamel, I'm not so sure. Like, it's really kind of about the relationship between Nick Swartzen's character and Neil McDonough's character. That's really where the heart and the dynamic of this movie is. And heart's probably not the right word because it's a very toxic relationship. And that, like I said, nothing in Old School. They might have been toxic, but they weren't vile. There wasn't like vitriol in the relationships, and this is just vitriol relationships. Dax Shepard was in this. I don't know what he was doing in this movie. Again, I think these are people he's friends with in real life, and I think they had a blast playing in this movie. But it just it wasn't funny, and that's a shame because Dax Shepard is a really funny guy, and there wasn't a whole lot that made me laugh in this movie. Maybe just the odd chuckle here or there, but nothing that really got me excited about ever rewatching this again. James Rhodey, he was kind of he was pretty good in this movie. Those who know Psych, who watch Psych, know James Rhodey. He was pretty good in this movie, but he was very underused. He was not in this movie a whole lot. He was definitely a supporting character who was kind of in the movie the whole time, but the focus was never really on him. It was always on Nick Swardson, Neil McDonough, or Josh Duhamel and Olivia Munn. He was always kind of like a background player. He had a couple moments where he'd get in there and make a joke or something, but he was not one of the leads at all. He was very much in a supporting vein in this movie. That's too bad because I think that he's probably the funniest guy in the movie. He's definitely funnier than the other guys. Nick Swardson and Neil McDonough. Maybe not Dax Shepard, but he's definitely in that running to be the funniest guy in the movie, and they just didn't use him in that capacity. Like I said, just very underused and underutilized. But the moments that he did have were all pretty solid. So Neil McDonough's character, he was just not like, I don't know if you're meant to hate him, but you don't like him. You don't like him. He's a despicable character, a despicable person, and I think you're meant to think that, yeah, this guy's fun. I would want to be friends with him, but you're not. He's not Jim Belushi in Animal House. He's just a crappy person. So yeah, this movie really tried to be the new Old School, and it just ended up being a very, very much a throwaway comedy that just didn't work in any capacity whatsoever. And there's funnier stuff to watch, guys. Go watch that. You don't need to watch this. I'm going to give this movie a D. There was things that worked in this movie. By the way, Kevin Dillon is in this movie, Matt Dillon's brother. Again, he's kind of like James Rhodey, where he's very much in the background. There's better stuff to watch. I'm going to give this movie a D. I liked Olivia Munn's character. James Rhodey was good when he was in it. Just too much of this was bad. Too much of this didn't work, and too much of this was meant to be funny but not funny. It was very much like watching home videos of some 40-year-olds who got together and wanted to relive their college days, and it just didn't work for me. But that's just me. What did you think of this movie? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your take on it. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel, and as always, thank you so much for joining me, the OQ Review, where we get to talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff we love to talk about. Until next time, we'll see you guys later.